Hey guys, welcome back. This is Jenny from Polly's Paper Studio, and today this is going to be a process video on how I created this tab-topped folder style greeting card with the Seasons collection from Graphic 45 and some pretty flowers and trim from Really Reasonable Ribbon. So this is sort of a small booklet with the tab top created with the We Are Memory Keepers punch board. I've got a tag tucked into the pocket and then a larger section to add pictures and journaling and a sentiment or maybe a gift card. So once again, this is the Seasons collection from Graphic 45, and I will leave links in the description below so you can check out the paper collections and the trims. So let's get started. For this project, I'm using the Graphic 45 Seasons collection. This is the 12 by 12 paper pad, and I'm also using the Patterns and Solids in the 12 by 12 size as well. So for the card base itself, I'm using a white cardstock for this example, but in the finished project, I have a black cardstock base. This is just easier to see the measurements. So I cut it at 10 inches by 7, and then I squirted it 5 inches and folded it in half. Then I went back in and clipped 1/2 inch off of one of the sides. I'm sure there's an easier way to do that, but it involves math and I don't care to do that willingly, so that is just my method. So once it is trimmed, you'll have the back piece will be longer than the front. You want to line that up with your envelope punch board and punch on the very left hand side, and then slide it down to 3.5 inches and punch it again. Then you'll want to flip it and do the same thing on the smaller end. So right on the end and then at 3.5. And then what I did, because I have a guillotine paper cutter, I don't have a like a slide blade, I took my craft knife and my T-square ruler. I love this. I use it all the time to keep things straight and square. Then I lined it up on a piece of mat board and used my T-square ruler to line it up there. You see how I can cut this now with my craft knife right along this edge. So once I've removed that, I went back in with my envelope punch board and used the corner rounder side and gave that a nice finished edge. So once you get all those cut out, you get the file folder shape. Now I did want this to fit into a standard size envelope, so that is why I chose the finished folded dimensions to be 5 by 7. So now we're working with the actual base of the card that we're working on today, and that is the same thing that I did for the example, and I did put some pattern paper on the back just to have it finished. It would look nice on all sides. So I'm going to just start by adding this little bit of green gingham ribbon with some score tape, because I want that sandwiched into the layers. And then it will just wrap around and tie when I'm ready to close it up. So for the cover, I'm going to add this piece, which is the same cut with the envelope punch board to create that tab, but I cut it in 1/8 of an inch so that I would have a border. It's a little bit difficult to see on the black cardstock. Maybe it will help if I did that. Yeah. And then I'm just going to position it so that that border will show around. So this is going to be the background. And I'm going to add this green stripe. This is from the Patterns paper pad from Seasons. And I'm just going to create a border strip with that. Next comes the actual border strip that I cut from the pattern paper, and I'm going to include a small strip of the black cardstock to separate the busy patterns. And then this border is a stamp strip, and that will go right on top. So this is pretty easy because it's all straight edge, and that will be the background. So next I have taken two of the cut aparts and secured them together so that it would be one larger background, and then I added that to the cardstock and used the foam dimensional tape so that it would pop it up from the base. And last but not least, I'm going to include this small cut apart. I did already add a few sequins to that, and that's just going to go right in the center. So you can see how adding the two together has created a nice large background. I'm going to finish the front with the dimensional embellishments once we get the inside done, because it will be easier to stick things down to a more flat surface. So this is going to be sort of a folio type situation, and so I'm going to add some pockets. This one will have the pattern paper floral in the background, and once again I did leave that border so that it would have a nice edge and not be too busy. That's more of the stripe with more of the cardstock separating the patterns, and I'm just adding that right to the corner. I didn't put adhesive on the top so that I could slide a tag in. This is going to be a sweet little border strip, and that's cut from the summer page right along there. This will be oriented in this direction when it's open, so I want this image to look in a profile rather than a landscape orientation, and I only added adhesive to the sides so that it won't interfere with the pocket. So that cute little hummingbird can go right here, and I've already put some of the cardstock border on that pattern of paper. So that will tuck right in. That'll be a nice place to add pictures or something, and there's still room in the pocket to add mementos and keepsakes. So on to the next page, and this is going to be more of the same pattern to keep it consistent. This seems to be easier to line up if you turn it toward you. And so paying attention to that border, keeping it even. Now I can flip it back around, and so this is another small card inside a card, if you will. It will just be some pages. I've got the measurement from the larger cut apart ×2 and then added the 1/8 of an inch inside. I want to add this cute little clip first so that it will act as a closure. And I'm going to secure that as close to the middle as I can. And then I'll finish the inside first. I've got the pattern that was used on the tag, and I'm just going to tuck that into here. And then on the bottom, I've got more of that green stripe. Same for the left-hand side. Oops, wrong page. This one goes here. One more border strip for the bottom. And now you can see that when it's being used, this would be a great place to add pictures or some journaling. Here is one of the sweet little cut apart strips, and I'm just going to include it right here. And for the outside, this is the larger cut apart. This one was my favorite. And that can be for the cover. I think this would also be a nice place to include a gift card or something if you're giving this as a gift. Fill it up with pictures and mementos and journaling, and then include a nice gift card. So that will tuck right in there and be secure so that it won't come open when it's untied. So this completes the inside, and then you can tie it with the green gingham. Pay attention to your tails and make sure that you're not leaving one weird wonky end like I just did. This is a little sentiment that I created using my Dymo label maker, the kind of old school one that has the little handle that you punch and wheel the letters around and then just squeeze it to create your sentiment. I'm adding that to the top of the tab. Now in the home stretch, we're going to add a few of these sweet little buttons that coordinate with the paper. And I did put some twine through that so that it would give the glue something to grab onto, because otherwise it might come off. This glue is not friends with buttons. There's 3 of these, and then there's 3 of the sequins, and that is sort of keeps it looking consistent. Okay, so that one is done. Now ahead of time I have prepared a few flowers. I do like to make my arrangements before I add them, so I know that I can fit everything that I want to without squishing into the focal image. So these are chrysanthemums from Really Reasonable Ribbon, some flowers from Petaloo, little rosebuds here, and some butterflies. And I did also include a few loops, little loopy bows of the burlap twine. So I'm just going to add a generous amount of glue to that, and that can go right here on the bottom edge. I really pulled these flowers to coordinate with that large focal image, and they just seem to go so well with the pattern papers. This is just one flower that has like tulle on top, and then 2 of the rosebuds and a butterfly. So that is it for this project. If you enjoyed it, give me a like, leave me a comment, and if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day. Thank you so much for watching.